AR and VR technology are probably the best technology available to the military right now that would serve the goal of preserving soldiers' lives. From strategy rooms to the front lines, technology is reshaping warfare. But what if the next military revolution isn't about weapons, but how we train and fight? Today, we explore a groundbreaking question. Are AR and VR the future of the military industry? Let's set the stage. It's 2035, and you find yourself on the battlefield. There are enemy bullets flying all around you. You've been ambushed and are far deep inside enemy territory. You look down at your weapon, and your heads-up display shows that you're low on ammo. You glance at one of your comrades, and your AR headset shows that he is dehydrated. Both of you manage to get to cover, and you share a bottle of water. After a brief conversation, you realize something is strange. Although both of you are in a very dangerous situation, neither of you is panicking. You remember how you've both gone through this situation 1,000 times before during virtual reality training. Although this is the first time you find yourself in a situation like this in real life, everything seems strangely familiar. The landscape is similar to the one in VR. Even the sounds of bullets rushing and drones humming seem like something almost routine. As a result, you both know what to do. It's time to call in the drones. You activate a feature on your AR glasses which shows a 3D map of the terrain and surrounding area, and you use your fingers to plot a route for the drones which goes around the areas that you know the enemy now controls. As the drone comes closer, you put on an extension to your AR glasses which transforms them into a full VR headset. You are now able to take manual control of the drone as it nears your location. You pilot the drone to drop off your supplies, and then continue to attack the enemy positions. As the enemy soldiers are distracted by the drone attack, you quickly stand up from your barricade and scan the surrounding area. Within seconds, a detailed 3D scan of the terrain is created and sent to your base. As you do this, you take a look at your comrade and you see a look of relief on his face. You both know that now you just need to hold on for a short while and both of you will be safe. As with the terrain mapped, friendly drones will be sent to secure the area and conduct an extraction. But just as you think that, you hear a scream, and instantly you get a notification that your comrade's been hit. He instantly faints and falls to the floor. You now need to provide first aid assistance to stop the bleeding. Your headset automatically shows you the steps you need to take and checks if you're doing them correctly. You've practiced this before in VR, and the muscle memory kicks in, so the movements feel almost natural. After a few minutes, your friend has been patched up and the drones arrive. While they are clearing the area, a combat helicopter arrives for an extraction. You get a call from the pilot, who has plotted a safe route for you to return home. Thankfully, your headset shows you the path in front of you, identifying the riskiest areas so that you can make sure you go through them faster. After a few minutes, you reach the helicopter and you're safe. As you fly to the base, it hits you what you just survived, and you think to yourself that without this new technology, you would have been dead hours ago. For now, stories like this seem like complete science fiction. But what if I told you that the technologies that were mentioned in this story exist and can be created today? It is just a matter of which military will create them first, and maybe even more importantly, which ones will implement them in their processes. Throughout history, the military has been at the forefront of innovation. From the compass and the internet, all the way to satellite technology. Many technologies we now use daily had their start in defense. Most military experts agree that drone warfare was the start of a new technological era for military combat. Judging by the investments in case studies, technologies like AI, AR, and VR seem to be at the forefront of this new revolution in military technology. What really makes AR and VR unique is its focus on enhancing humans and making them safer and more capable on the battlefield. In recent years, human lives have become the most critical asset on the battlefield, as most militaries have a hard time recruiting new soldiers. As strange as this might sound to some military strategists, not dying can be an excellent motivator in recruitment. In the video today, we'll take a look at some of the top areas in which AR and VR are poised to revolutionize the battlefield. And we will also take a look at what the militaries across the globe have already started doing in utilizing this technology and preparing for a new era in military combat. More specifically, we will be looking at 4 areas. 2 of the areas which we think will be key in the future, and 2 areas which we believe are already very much revolutionizing the battlefield. The 2 areas which we believe will be key in the future are AR overlays and strategic planning and analysis. Now, before we go into these, we will take a quick look at the 2 areas in which AR and VR are already reshaping the way in which we wage war. These 2 are FPV drones, also known as first-person drones, and VR military training. So, load your weapon, open your daily rations, and hold tight to your favorite hand grenade as we delve deep into the future of military combat. The war in Ukraine has shown us just how much drone warfare has completely changed the way in which we wage war. If you look more closely at a lot of the images on the front line of this conflict, you may notice a small detail. They seem to either be carrying VR headsets or straight up wearing them. At this point, seeing a soldier wear or carry a VR headset is nothing new, but I'm here to tell you exactly what the majority of them are used for. The answer is FPV drones. FPV is short for first-person view. The first-person view in this case comes from, you guessed it, virtual reality. The way you operate them is simple. You put on your VR headset and are able to fully pilot the drone while seeing a 360 view of the surrounding area. This has become not only the preferred way in which to pilot these drones, but the norm, as drone pilots are now expected to be aware of the dangers all around them. The relative low cost of these setups has meant that we have seen them on the battlefields all over the world, and they don't seem to be going away anytime soon. It's very well known that VR is one of the best ways to learn, as it allows you to learn by doing, without actually doing anything. Kind of like trading crypto. Most militaries have already implemented some kind of VR training into their systems, and with resounding success. An HTC study noted that 80% of military trainers reported an increase in confidence that their crew will be able to perform in critical situations. In another study, it was reported that Chinese soldiers reported an impressive 97% satisfaction rate when reviewing the VR training experience. I can only guess the other 3% were shot. There are a variety of different types of VR training which have been created. One of the most popular is VSTS, or Virtual Squad Training Simulations. This is an exercise where an entire squad trains together in the same environment. It also includes real weapons as controllers, where their size and shape is simulated. It's kind of like a very expensive game of laser tag, just funded by your taxes instead of your mom. Another type is Tactical Combat Casualty Care. This type of training is used to train soldiers on how to administer first aid care on the battlefield. In addition to these, VR training is also used after the combat ends, as it has been widely reported as one of the best tools to treat PTSD. It is widely used in Ukraine for exactly this purpose as we speak. Ukrainians have of course been hit by a mental health crisis, which many startups and companies in the VR space are resolving through therapy of their PTSD with virtual reality. Now, with training out of the way, it's time to shift our focus onto the battlefield itself and see how AR and VR can be used during active combat. All of us have seen AR heads-up displays in a variety of media, From films to video games, the idea of having a digital overlay over your sight while shooting at things and stuff is basically a staple of every video game. But what if I told you that this could soon become a reality across battlefields all over the globe? Well, a lot of militaries certainly are working on making this a reality. The US military is famously ordering boatloads of HoloLens headsets to equip US military personnel. And this program has become so successful that Microsoft has shifted their entire HoloLens production fully to the military, as they're not producing civilian headsets at all. I hope they do the same with Microsoft Teams. These headsets have incredible potential on the battlefield. My opinion is that some time needs to pass for the hardware to get a bit better until these applications can really get to their full usefulness. But even with today's hardware, the foundational technology can be created and some useful case studies can be done. All that the US military needs right now are capable developers, like us. Honestly, if we at TAR ever land a military contract, you will probably not notice, but there will be subtle signs. You might notice them if you park your car next to my tank. The future surely looks bright for AR technology deployed on the battlefield, but these technologies won't only be used by people on the front line. They will also be used by generals and military planners for analysis and tactical planning. I am an expert in military and tactical planning. As you can see here, with over 18 hours of playing Total War under my belt, I might actually become a shogun one day. However, if we look at scenarios that don't include medieval Japanese warfare, I do admit I am a bit out of my depth. There are people whose job it is to create military strategies and plan and analyze the behavior of troops on the battlefield. And let me tell you, these people are quite excited about AR and VR. As any military strategist would tell you, the terrain is one of the determining factors you need to consider when planning a strategy. With VR, you're able to see detailed maps with a whole other dimension added: depth. This can bring an incredible advantage to someone planning a military engagement or conducting military drills. However, in terms of analysis, the benefits are even greater. Today's armed forces are all equipped with advanced geopositioning technology that allows them to transmit their position at any moment. This data can easily be transformed into rich 3D environments where analysts can replay exactly what happened and where the movement was. In theory, right now, we possess the technology to be able to display these 3D maps in real time while the action is taking place. Now, we cannot know for certain if this technology has been developed or not by any military, but if you ever see me driving a tank to the local grocery store, you will be sure that it has. There are a variety of other use cases in which AR and VR can be deployed in the military. For example, you could use it for maintenance, you can use it for flying swarms of drones. However, I believe that the 4 areas we touched on have the most value and the most potential in the short term at least. Now that we have reviewed these, we will analyze some of the leading militaries and look at some of the ways in which they used AR and VR technology. But before that, it's ad time. This video was brought to you by mustard gas. I'm sorry, I was informed that we're not allowed to advertise chemical weapons. It goes against YouTube's guidelines or the Geneva Convention or something. In that case, we'll sponsor the video ourselves. Again. Let's roll the ads. At Star, we have created some of the best AR, VR, and metaverse experiences. We have worked with major brands such as Ford, Microsoft, Best Buy, and many, many more to bring immersive experiences to more and more people. And for this, we have been recognized by a whole boatload of awards and accolades, from Clutch Awards to the nominations by the prestigious AI XR Awards. What makes us unique is that we use a combination of consulting and development. We know that navigating the immersive space can be hard for companies. This is why we are committed to providing our clients with a full white glove experience. where we lead them through the entire development process. For more information, reach out to us on our website. Now, let's continue with the video. In this section of the video, we'll be taking a trip around the globe and seeing how militaries worldwide are finding wonderful ways in applying AR and VR technology to destroy as many of their enemies while suffering the fewest casualties. However, this section needs to come with a big disclaimer. The military industry is literally the most secretive industry in the world, which means we can never really know what they are working on. And no matter how many emails I send, Donald still won't tell me the nuclear launch codes. With that being said, let's dive in. The US has been a key adopter of AR and VR technology, as you would expect from the current military leader. The US has invested heavily into the immersive technology space. I've already mentioned the major contract the US military has with Microsoft, which provides them with some of the best mixed reality hardware that taxpayer money can buy. This allows them to theoretically build an entire infrastructure around these headsets. And although this is just speculation, I would not be surprised if they had an entire spatial computing ecosystem already being built and focused around these headsets. Apart from this, they have publicized the use of a variety of VR training exercises, such as the US Navy piloting unmanned vehicles purely through VR, or the US Army conducting very realistic VR squad training. US allies in NATO also deserve a pat on the back in terms of keeping up with the times, especially the UK, which has implemented a variety of VR training systems. One of the most interesting use cases is the Royal Navy, which implemented VR simulations to train sailors guiding warships. Apart from the Navy, the UK Army is also utilizing VR in training their soldiers. Their main aim is to create realistic fighting scenarios and then put trainees into these scenarios. Within NATO, using FPV drones is also a hot topic among many militaries, primarily because of the way that they have proven themselves on the battlefield in Ukraine. We can't talk about military innovation without talking about Israel. Israel has been at the forefront of military technology for a long time now. And the situation is no different when we talk about AR and VR. They have been a leading force in the implementation of AR and VR in this space. One of the most interesting technologies that they have developed is the Elbit X-Sight helmet. This helmet allows helicopter pilots to view AI data in augmented reality and help pilots perform better on the battlefield. As it always is, with the IDF, we can expect the implementation of the newest technology. However, VR and AR are specifically important to Israel, as they are surrounded by geopolitical rivals, but only have a population of just under 10 million. For them, a life lost on the battlefield is a major loss. This is why it has always been their priority to focus on the preservation of lives of their soldiers at all costs. AR and VR technology are probably the best technology available to the military right now that would serve the goal of preserving soldiers' lives. When it comes to China, it's quite hard to figure out exactly how they are implementing AR and VR technology, due to most of their publications, unsurprisingly, being in Chinese. However, even with such little information, it's easy to conclude that the People's Liberation Army of China is either on par or maybe even leading the US with the adoption of AR and VR technology. Along with the countless scientific papers on using AR and VR for military purposes that are published by Chinese academic institutions and universities, and multiple reports of VR training being used across their military, China seems to be the only other country apart from the US to use AR headsets for frontline soldiers. After doing the research, it seems that while a lot of militaries are using AR and VR sporadically, China definitely has a strategy that is focused on using these technologies in active combat at a larger scale. With geopolitical tensions rising in the recent years from the war in Ukraine and in the Middle East, we have seen a sharp increase in military budgets worldwide. It's very clear that a large proportion of these budgets will go into AR and VR technologies, which will be used not only to train soldiers, but to operate vehicles and deal with active combat situations. In my opinion, what most militaries need right now is a clear strategy and roadmap on how to implement these technologies so that they can most effectively use them during active combat situations. If you are by any chance a large military without a strategy on how to implement new technologies and want to help me achieve my dream of buying a tank, reach out to us at Takeaway Reality and we can help you with any AR or VR development or consulting need that you might have. For the rest of you civilians, you can subscribe, ring the bell, drop a like, or follow us on all the social media sites. Apart from OnlyFans, we don't have that one yet. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. And as always, don't forget to keep your headsets away from the sunlight. I am an expert in military and tactical planning.